The story begins in a futuristic timeline at a hidden military installation where comm shatters as emergency sirens suddenly erupt. Armed units snap into action when surveillance systems pick up an approaching anomaly, something colossal, inhuman, and radiating powerful electromagnetic waves, moving straight toward the base. Just as the threat is about to collide with them, the timeline abruptly rewinds 1 month earlier to Moscow. Here, the focus shifts to Oleg and Reyna, an elite army couple enjoying a quiet evening at an upscale restaurant, unaware that the world is on the brink of chaos. The scene then cuts to a commercial aircraft mid-flight that inexplicably loses power and begins plummeting toward the ground. At the same moment, it isn't just the plane that goes dark, an entire region on Earth is swallowed by a massive blackout. News broadcasts confirm that several countries, including parts of Russia, have completely lost communication, and authorities are unable to determine whether this is a terrorist attack or a catastrophic system failure. That mysterious darkened region is soon sealed off and labeled the quarantine zone, while the remaining illuminated areas are referred to as the Circle of Life. With no time to waste, the government deploys a special operations unit into the zone to uncover the truth, especially since all drones sent inside have vanished without a trace, making the area seem as if it has been erased from existence. Upon landing, the team begins inspecting nearby buildings and slowly realizes the horror of the situation. Everything is dead, from fish to humans, frozen exactly where they collapsed, as if life itself shut down instantly. No one can explain how people could die mid-meal or mid-conversation, alongside a total power failure. During their investigation, a shocking incident occurs when one of the soldiers is suddenly attacked. The assailant steals his weapon and leaps from the building, unharmed, escaping even after being riddled with bullets. It becomes clear that this is no ordinary threat. A full month passes with no answers, forcing the government to pull the troops back and redirect focus to another key character, Yuri, a soldier ordered to return to duty under devastating personal circumstances. His mother suffers from severe short-term memory loss, barely able to function on her own, and with no money to afford professional care, Yuri is forced to leave her in the hands of a neighbor, carrying immense guilt. Meanwhile, new forensic findings reveal that the bodies recovered from the quarantine zone died from a rare neurotoxin, one that the human body itself produces. This revelation raises terrifying questions about how and why people's bodies would turn against them. With the mystery deepening, the mission shifts toward gathering scientific data inside the zone, despite limited resources and the disappearance of heavily armored units previously sent in. As night falls, the elite Emercom team, Russia's specialized medical and evacuation force, is deployed, unexpectedly including Oleg's girlfriend, Iona. Before emotions can settle or reunions can happen, warning sirens scream once again as another fast-approaching danger is detected, pulling the story back into the present moment where everything is about to collide. To gain a tactical edge, the Major orders all floodlights shut down, plunging the area into darkness, but within seconds a massive swarm charges toward the unit. The soldiers open fire blindly, bullets tearing through the night, and then the scene abruptly jumps to morning, revealing a horrifying truth. The attackers were not humans but an organized pack of wild grizzly bears. The battle leaves several soldiers dead and heavy losses behind, and even the captain is baffled by how the bears attacked with such coordinated precision. Marina suggests that the answer may lie with the Sensors, a secret Russian division researching naturally born superhumans, individuals capable of influencing minds like radio frequencies, though no one knows how such abilities are acquired. One of these individuals was injured during the quarantine zone incident, and the focus shifts to him as he experiences disturbing visions, ending with a sudden awakening and the appearance of an unknown entity calling itself Xenia. Xenia reveals a chilling truth. The catastrophe is the result of sequential wave attacks. The first wave destroyed all electronic systems, the second forced biological organisms to self-destruct, and the third wave turned survivors inside the quarantine zone into mindless attackers stripped of free will, permanently converted into living drones. This explains why the animals turned violent. Xenia insists the third wave must be stopped before it fully spreads and claims to know how, but needs help identifying the person controlling these human drones, a figure he has seen through visions. Confused and terrified, the soldier calls for guards, only to realize Xenia is invisible and communicating directly through his mind. The story then shifts back to the field as multiple units mobilize toward the quarantine zone, while Oleg, injured in the previous battle, is reassigned by Iona to Moscow to deliver a classified package. Yuri and other battalions advance into different sectors of the zone, passing a destroyed bridge clearly caused by the earlier plane crash. As they reach the perimeter, the ruined buildings and abandoned tanks confirm their worst fear. The third wave has already been activated, and the drones now possess military-grade weapons, making the mission far deadlier. When news of the quarantine zone's condition spreads into the circle of life regions, panic erupts, martial law breaks out, and violent riots consume the cities as civilians accuse the government of covering up a failed military experiment, though officials themselves have no answers. Meanwhile, the Eureka Group evacuates journalist Olga and establishes an observation camp in the safer Curve town, while Oleg is later seen with Group 4 heading to Karankino village, where Iona rejoins them for medical support. As for when Oleg completed his mission and what was inside that secret package, the truth is deliberately saved for later. Days pass in eerie silence, with no new attacks, and most unsettling of all, the people inside the zone seem to have completely vanished. Not a single body is found anywhere, which only deepens the unease, until the Eureka Group notices something unsettling. The door of a nearby store is open, even though they clearly remember it being locked when they arrived. A quick search confirms someone recently came looking for food, so they decide to set a trap. The focus then shifts to Shah, who suddenly comes face to face with a mysterious stranger that seems to appear out of nowhere. The man explains that his condition is a side effect of the first wave, since he was standing near the quarantine zone border when it struck, and unlike most others, he avoided becoming a mind-controlled drone. Instead, the exposure altered him, granting abilities that could help track whoever is controlling the puppets. Sasha is completely confused about who this person is or what he's talking about, but when the stranger finally reveals his face, the movie drops its first major twist. He isn't human at all, but a human-like alien. Seeing him as a threat, Marina and the soldiers raise their weapons, only for the situation to flip instantly when those same soldiers turn their guns on Marina instead. In a terrifying display, the alien makes himself appear identical to Marina, leaving the real Marina standing there, stunned and unable to understand what's happening. He calmly explains that he didn't change shape, instead, he manipulated their minds, forcing them to believe he was Marina and Marina was him. He then delivers a mind-shattering revelation, claiming he is the being humans once worshipped as God, and that millions like him are on their way to wipe humanity off Earth. However, he insists he has chosen their side and wants to stop it. He explains that the catastrophe began when his kind released radiation that transformed people inside the zone into mindless puppets, and that the official order for the attack was supposed to be given only when the moon aligned with the ocean. He broke protocol and activated it early, when the moon pointed at a specific section of Earth, which accidentally prevented the radiation from spreading into the circle of life. As a result, everyone trapped inside the quarantine zone is permanently altered, never able to return to normal, and soon those puppets will attack the remaining human population as part of the third wave of colonization. He reveals that his species lost their own sun, forcing them to abandon their planet and search for a new home, and Earth was chosen because its sun is still young enough to sustain life for thousands of years. The most disturbing truth comes last. Before the three known waves, a hidden zero wave had already been deployed to weaken humanity before their ships arrived. This zero wave was a supreme biological weapon, spreading like a virus that either enslaved or destroyed its targets, allowing the aliens to subdue Earth's most advanced civilizations. According to him, ancient pyramids and underground cities were not built by ordinary humans at all, because long ago humans possessed powerful psychic abilities like telekinesis and mind control, which were deliberately erased using alien biological weapons to make Earth easier to conquer. According to his claim, humanity itself is the result of alien genetic engineering. Modern humans, as we know them, were designed to function as a living biological weapon, created to eliminate Earth's original population, beings who once possessed powerful psychic abilities. By stripping away those abilities and replacing them with emotion, pain, and uncontrolled reproduction, humans were engineered to spread rapidly across the planet. The plan was simple. By the time the aliens physically arrived to colonize Earth, the planet would already be perfectly prepared. Marina briefly finds comfort in the idea that the invasion is still years away, only for Reed to crush that hope by revealing the truth. The main carrier ship is scheduled to arrive the very next day. Which means it departed years ago, and the zero-wave attack was executed long before anyone realized it. He adds another disturbing detail: alien and human DNA are nearly identical, created from the same blueprint by what humans once called God. The only difference is that humans are a downgraded version, while his species doesn't age, fall ill, or die naturally because their cells constantly regenerate. That's why ID, who arrived on Earth years earlier, is still alive today. Meanwhile, Oleg's team's trap finally works, but instead of a monster, they capture a young boy. When he regains consciousness, he explains that he used to come there daily in search of food. Then suddenly, something inside him snaps, and within seconds, he brutally kills several soldiers, forcing the unit to eliminate him. This moment confirms ID's warning: the puppets can switch without notice. Soon after, thousands of armed drone-like survivors begin advancing toward Yuri, Oleg, and the remaining squads, triggering the first full-scale battle of colonization. The fight turns brutally intense, as the enemy matches the military weapon for weapon. Yuri's team holds their ground for a long time, but sheer numbers overwhelm them, forcing them to fire emergency flares toward the outpost for backup. As the Major prepares to send reinforcements, flares begin lighting up the sky from every direction, signaling that all units are under attack. That's when the truth finally hits: this is no isolated incident, it's all-out war. Back at base, Vadi tells Marina they must unite immediately, because years ago, their leader Ra arrived alongside him to oversee humanity's takeover. Ra is far more powerful and is the one controlling every puppet on the battlefield. If Ra is eliminated, control over the drones can be seized, and only then does humanity stand a chance of stopping what's coming. That's why Sasha becomes crucial. He's the only one capable of pinpointing Ra's exact location. To do that, he must be taken closer to the quarantine zone, and the timing couldn't be worse, because Sasha can already sense that the puppet drones have gone fully offensive. At the same time, Xenia, an ordinary human, willingly assists them after ID cures his inability to walk, revealing that ID genuinely believes in helping others, something he claims humans themselves rarely do. Still, ID carefully avoids explaining why he's siding with humanity, saving that truth for the climax. Marina begins to trust him when reports of fresh attacks come in, forcing her to rush all three of them back to the outpost. Meanwhile, Yuri and his unit realize that multiple squads are already under threat, meaning backup from the outpost is no longer guaranteed. Before the drones return, Yuri makes a risky decision. He heads toward the only direction where no flare signals are visible, hoping another team there might still be alive. Instead, they walk straight into an ambush, leaving only Yuri and Olga alive. With no better option, they steal a nearby vehicle and race toward Oleg's group. Back at the outpost, ID helps Sasha focus, guiding him to lock onto Ra's presence, and Sasha finally locates him. Ra is controlling the puppets from inside a building in the Karakan area, the same location where Oleg's team is stationed. But the moment Sasha's vision shifts, he jolts awake in pain. ID calms him and urgently orders an immediate evacuation. Just as devastating news arrives, the Circle of Life zone is under attack, meaning Ra has officially launched the final wave. The Major is completely lost until ID reveals his true form to him as well, explaining that Ra commands millions of controlled humans inside the quarantine zone and is now executing a full-scale extermination to complete planetary colonization. With everything finally clear, the team mobilizes at once, and Sasha insists on coming along, but ID stops him, claiming Sasha is too valuable to risk. As the fully armed unit departs, Marina notices something strange: no one knows which vehicle Sasha is in. That's when ID admits the truth. He deliberately kept Sasha at the outpost because Ra had already connected to Sasha's mind, making him a tracking beacon. If Sasha traveled with them, Ra could locate and destroy them instantly. ID had read Sasha's thoughts earlier to confirm exactly what he had seen, sacrificing the outpost to save the team by keeping Ra's attention fixed there. Marina suddenly understands the implication: the outpost is now the target. Before she can issue a recall order, missile trails light up the sky, thousands of warheads locking onto the base. The outpost launches its anti-ballistic defenses, but it's already too late. In seconds, the entire facility and its soldiers are wiped out in a catastrophic explosion, reduced to ash. Marina is shaken, realizing this was intentional, but ID insists it was the only way to disappear from Ra's sight, convincing him that ID himself had perished in the blast. He justifies it by saying that saving thousands sometimes demands the sacrifice of a few, indirectly pointing to himself as well, implying that as long as he remains alive, hope still exists to stop this war, especially against beings like them who are about to arrive on Earth in the millions. By the next morning, Oleg, Yuri, and Marina's teams finally regroup as one unit, but the devastation of the outpost, the assault on the Circle of Life, and the truth about ID leave Yuri shaken, realizing that they might be among the last surviving humans on the planet. With no alternatives left, they accept that eliminating Ra is their only chance. They move toward his location, only to be immediately surrounded by Ra's controlled forces, and within seconds, a puppet strapped with explosives launches itself onto their truck in a suicide attack. What follows is absolute chaos as countless puppets swarm them without fear of death, charging like relentless zombies. With no room for retreat, the team accelerates straight toward the target, firing non-stop and crushing anything in their path, yet the flood of attackers keeps pouring in. Somehow, through sheer desperation, they reach Ra's skyscraper and temporarily clear the area, but fresh waves of enemies continue advancing from behind. Knowing time has run out, the Major and his remaining soldiers hold the line while the others push toward the rooftop to stop RA once and for all. Yuri finally comes face to face with RA, only to be effortlessly hurled aside like he weighs nothing. A brutal showdown erupts between ID and RA, their powers clashing in a gravity-defying battle that feels unreal, almost cinematic, as if reality itself is bending around them. Despite ID's strength, Ra's mastery gives him the upper hand. Below, the situation turns catastrophic. The Major's unit runs low on ammunition as the number of puppets keeps multiplying, and to make matters worse, trucks packed with explosives charge straight at their position. Unable to stop them in time, massive explosions rip through the defenses, wiping out the remaining soldiers, while thousands of puppets surge toward the terrace to protect their master. In that moment of distraction, ID seizes his chance, striking RA at his weak point, tearing out his alien-like heart, embedding an explosive device, and annihilating him in a violent blast. The instant RA dies, the connection controlling the puppets collapses, allowing ID to erase them under his control, finally ending the nightmare. Humanity is freed from the puppets, and only a handful of people remain alive across the planet. Yet as they stand among the endless bodies, a bitter realization sets in. Victory feels hollow when it comes at the cost of losing almost everyone they were trying to save. She turns to ID, her voice sharp with tension, and asks how many of their kind are actually going to land, and what they're supposed to do next. ID doesn't sugarcoat it. He bluntly explains that humans are designed for one thing: killing. In reality, compassion, mercy, and love barely exist in humanity. For thousands of years, humans have pursued power and slaughtered each other for personal gain, and that very flaw is what RA decided to exploit to wipe them out. But ID reassures her, he intends to guide them to survive the impending threat. Xenia interrupts, asking why ID never warned them earlier. With a deep calm, ID reveals his final card. He had to hold back the truth because alerting them would have tipped off the aliens to his original plan. If they had interfered too soon, the incoming threat might have detected the anomaly and gone defensive, potentially derailing the entire operation. Now, the aliens are advancing blindly, unaware of the humans on the ground, humans whose population must grow to prepare for the incoming colonization. Then comes the ultimate revelation: ID declares himself their god. The humans they had been worshipping for centuries, blindly revering a being they had never seen, were now confronted with the truth: this god had chosen their side. That's why he had helped them all along. But to claim this position, he had to first eliminate his own people, including his master, to prevent interference. Hearing this, nobody feels relief. Marina raises her gun, furious, accusing him of gambling with billions of lives to save just a few. Yuri steps in, trying to calm her down, arguing that ID is their only hope, the one who knows how to stop the incoming threat. He spends tense moments trying to reason with her, but Iona refuses to listen and even aims at ID herself. Amid the chaos, Xenia sees an opening and lunges at ID with a knife, but in a tragic mistake, strikes Marina instead. ID had already read Xenia's mind, anticipating the attack, which saves him and gives them the edge to regain control. The moment leaves everyone stunned, realizing that even in the midst of betrayal and confusion, ID's foresight was the only thing keeping them alive. At that critical moment, ID manipulates Xenia's mind, making Marina perceive him as the threat. Caught in the illusion, Marina attacks and is fatally caught in the trick. Seeing this, Oleg flies into a rage and goes after ID, but Yuri steps in, sparking a brutal clash between them. Yuri is about to take ID down when Olga intervenes, shooting to save him. Seizing the opening, Xenia tries again to kill ID, but the cunning ID anticipates the strike and captures him once more. In the chaos, Oleg gets multiple chances to fire at ID, but ID turns the tables, invading Oleg's mind and conjuring vivid illusions of his deceased father to confuse him. Before ID can fully control Oleg, Xenia makes a desperate move. He pushes ID off the building and jumps himself, both plummeting to their deaths. That leaves only the injured Yuri, Oleg, Olga, and Iona. Their worst nightmare unfolds as an alien warship from the RMDA lands directly in front of them. Yet when the massive doors open, no one emerges. Cautiously, the team decides to enter the ship to investigate. Inside, they are confronted with millions of aliens trapped in containment, an eerie sight that seems straight out of a sci-fi nightmare. Some of the systems begin activating automatically, and an unsettling, strange liquid starts flowing across storage compartments. Oleg quickly realizes it's likely the ship's oxygen supply, and a device on the storage appears to be a timer that triggers the awakening of the aliens. Understanding the danger, Oleg acts decisively, starting to neutralize them one by one before they can even stir. But they don't have enough bullets or time to take out every threat. Thinking quickly, Reska devises a plan. She starts destroying the ship's main oxygen supply, causing entire rows of aliens to perish at once. Seeing this work, the others join in, sabotaging the pipelines to stop more from waking. But when they reach the last storage unit, they see something that stops them cold: innocent alien children trapped inside. No one has the heart to harm them, so they lower their weapons. One by one, thousands of alien children begin to emerge from the storage, leaving the team stunned. And that's where the movie ends.